Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our first segment of In Depth. Today, we'll be talking to Shaunda. We're discussing bullying and looking back at all the events now as an adult, the feelings that she had as a child. Hi, Shaunda. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. More than glad to have you here. We're just going to jump in there now. As a child, you were bullied as a child, and today we're just going to discuss the feelings that you had, the things that happened, and probably how some parents can help prevent their children from being bullied.
Great.
Okay. Jump in. Tell us about an event or a time when you were bullied and you really felt. Did you feel inferior?
Oh yeah.
Did you?
The first time that I remember that I was bullied, I was probably in either third or the fourth grade.
Okay.
I was in elementary, Sweeney Elementary. And I actually remember the girl's name to this day.
Really?
I've never seen her, though, since then, but her name was Trina. No last names. But it happened in art class. And at the time, we were doing, I hated art anyway, but at the time, we were doing our art thing, and all of a sudden, she just came over. She's always been a bully anyway, but she never bothered me, so I had really no idea why she came over. But she came over, she started messing with me, meddling, writing on my paper, and then all of a sudden she just wrote on my clothes.
Really?
On my clothes. Yeah, and this, like I said, I was like, third, fourth grade? I'm like 8 or 9. And with me not being a confrontational person, I just was like, why did you do that? And it was on my left arm. I was like, why did you write on my clothes? Not defensive, not like, why are you writing on my clothes?
Yeah.
But it was more so, why'd you do that? And she was like, because I wanted to. Left it alone. I know. And I went home. I told my mom, thinking that, she was going to be on my side, which she is. But the first thing she thought about was, I paid too much money for them clothes. Next time.
That's a parent.
Yeah. She wasn't really thinking about my emotions at the time. I came to her not like, Mom, this is what happened, but I came to her like, Mom, look what she did.
Yeah.
So of course she would have acted like that. She didn't see any type of concern as far as to be crying. Exactly.
Right.
So that's how she took it. And she said next time she do it, write on her clothes. If you come home with stuff, I'm going to beat you. And I'm like,
Like, that's not what I was looking for.
But I was like, okay, and that's actually what made me just stand back.
How did it make you feel? Like, at that moment, if you can go back in time.
It was
what
horrible.
Emotions?
Yeah, it just felt like, even to this day, it still comes up. Because when you're being bullied, you feel like your self-esteem just goes away.
Right.
Your self-pride, your self-esteem, your self-worth is just not there anymore. And so you're like, there must be a reason why she's picking on me. Maybe I look funny to her. Maybe, maybe my clothes looked raggedy, and maybe that's why she started writing on my clothes. So as a kid, you're having all these thoughts in your head.
So it flips. It's not so much about her. Now you're doing a self-examination.
Exactly.
Why me? Okay.
Why me?
Why you? I mean, here you are now as an adult, and that is still left an impression.
It's like it's printed. It's like a tattoo. I still remember the name. I still remember what she looked like. Wow. I know her last name, but I'm not going to say it.
You wouldn't want to share that.
No, but those things, just like that saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt. That's a stone cold lie.
Yeah. Because
it does. I mean, I'm sure you heard of this. You can get cut, you can get hit, bruised. They heal.
Yeah.
But it actually takes deliverance, in my opinion, for something, because it's embedded in your heart. If you think it, it will start to. If it comes to you, start thinking about it, it will actually get embedded into your heart, and that's who you think you are.
So has that played with your self-esteem? Is that something that you had to work on?
Girl, I'm still working on it. I'm serious. Yeah. I mean, I have a husband. We've been married for almost 10 and a half years.
Okay.
He tells me I'm beautiful. I have 2 boys. They say, Mama, you look pretty. But, a couple of years, probably not even a couple of years later, I started getting digs at my nose. and my nose. And how at the time, when you're a kid, you got the big people features, but you still got the, the little bitty face. And so my nose is big anyway. But just think, as a little bitty girl, and you got this wide nose, and black people. Sorry, but but we do have. We're known to have bigger noses, wider noses. Yeah. And even to this day, I'm like, okay, I gotta find the right light when I take pictures so it won't look that big. And it's rough. It really is. When I think about, and even like I got a little boy. I got 2 boys. My oldest one is almost 10, and because of what I went through, I tell him, and I'm sure I was gonna do this anyway, but I tell him, if you see somebody who's getting bullied, because mommy has been there, if you see somebody getting bullied, if you hear people talking about somebody, if you see that somebody doesn't have any friends, befriend them.
So there's so many levels to it. Some people think, you bully a person and then, once class is over, that's it. They go on. But it sticks with you.
It sticks. It's like super glued. It's super glued in your brain. I mean, literally. I'm listening, we're listening to the news and you see these kids that are committing suicide because they were getting bullied,
Or even school shootings.
They
just get fed up.
They get fed up.
Now, with your mom, have you talked to her about this since you become an adult?
Yes, but she didn't even know.
She did?
That's what I'm saying. She didn't know. She didn't know that my school, my adolescent, elementary, it was horrible.
Really?
And I kid you not, I'm not playing, Alicia. To this day, I still have self-esteem issues.
So it left that deep of a scar.
It did.
That's amazing.
It did. It really did. It's and that's probably why when I look at the news that I really weep, because it's so sad. It's really sad that the world can be so cruel. Yeah. It's just, it doesn't make any sense why you would put somebody down to raise yourself up. I mean, really? We know as adults now the reason why they're doing it is because their self-esteem is low.
Right. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, but when you're growing up, you don't think
as a child that doesn't register with you.
No, you don't, and not even as a teenager. Like the kids are killing themselves. They're teens. Some are even college students. They're just wrapped up in these people talking about them. They're not analyzing. Okay, it's not me. It's them. Right. In a way, it's like a double-edged sword. I wish it didn't happen, but I'm glad that it did because now I have kids that I can say, Mommy experienced this. Yeah. This is how it hurts. This is how, even as an adult, it hurts. Right. So the 2 kids that I have are 2 kids in the world that will not be like the kids that, that I experienced when I was small. So it's like I went through that so that I can change, I guess you can say, the world this way. I mean, even though...
But it will. I mean, it really will. Especially, it'll change their world, at least. Yeah. Which will eventually spread out to other people.
I think so.
I think it will.
Because kids, they mock other. I mean, not mock, but they look at others all the time. And so if they see Josh, they're like, he stood up for that person.
Positive peer pressure.
Yeah, positive. Yeah. Exactly.
It can go either way.
That's right. And I also teach them, if something's wrong, if somebody's saying something to you, come to me no matter what. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what happened. Tell me everything. Don't be afraid like I was, because if I would have told my mom it made me feel this way instead of, Mom, this is what happened. Tell her this is what happened, but also say it hurt. Like my little boy, somebody was choking him, girl. It was 2 years ago. He was sitting. Now it's funny now.
In class?
No, on the school bus. On the school bus, he was sitting down. They had him from the back, and they had him by the neck. And
don't let me see.
I went to the bus the next day, right? But anyway, and I was like, Josh, what was you doing? You know what he said? Just what I did, in which it just broke my heart. He just sat there. Yeah. He sat there and let him choke him until he was done. Yeah. And that just hurt me so bad. I'm like, that's when it did. And that's when I was like, you know what? It can't. And that's when I started talking to him about it,
You're talking about your husband and how he would tell you, you're beautiful. Was that before you all got married, or even now, was it an issue?
I still think he lied.
Did he have 10 years of marriage, 2 kids?
I'm serious. Girl.
And you still.
I still think he be lying sometimes.
What? Was it hard for him to get in there with you?
It still is. Because he's like, I don't even know if I should tell how you look. Because all you're going to do is be like, whatever. But there are sometimes I know when I'm the business.
Mm-hmm.
For real. But, I mean, some days I feel oogie. And especially, it seems
I think we all have those days.
That is true.
We all.
That is very true. And it seems like those days that you feel oogie, everybody's like, girl, you look cute. Mm-hmm. Which I think it may be the Lord trying to be like, see, I told you, even though you may think you look crappy, but you really look on the fly. You know what I'm saying? So, but I don't know. I still think he lies sometimes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to someone, a child, adult, teenager, anyone that's been bullied? What would you tell them? Looking back from your events as a child, what would you tell them?
Looking back as a vulnerable kid, not knowing which way is up because you're thinking you're doing the right thing, hanging out with the right people, and then you have this coming at you full force, like some kind of hurricane. Say something. Yeah. Don't just keep it in, because even if you do move on to the next stage, new school or whatever, those kind of things, maybe the people won't follow you, but the emotions that you feel will follow you, and it will actually interrupt your whole life. Mm-hmm. Say something. If it's to a teacher, anybody that has any type of authority. I mean, even if it's talking to your friends. So just my whole thing is say something.
Well, do me this favor, though.
What's that, homie?
Stop making hubby
I know it.
do the extra work.
I know.
When he tells you you're beautiful.
Just be like, thank you.
Yep.
I know.
Take it and go.
I know.
Take it and go. Because he's serious. 10 years? He didn't believe it. He would have.
How you know he ain't stuck? No.
You're like, dang. I can't go to work.
Dang, and I got 2 kids.
He obviously means it,
He does. I'm telling you, in the back of my mind, I know he does.
Well, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
This has been great. You've been so open. I love that.
I know, and I was trying not to cry. You're trying to be like Oprah.
You're fine.
I am not gonna cry. Tears, but I did good though, didn't I? You only heard me
just
couple
a little
times.
Shake, a little shake. But you've been great. Thank you so much,
You're
Shaunda.
welcome,
I really
Alicia.
appreciate this. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We've learned today, bullying is a long-lasting effect. It's not something that just happens at that moment and then goes away. As Shaunda has shared with us today, it's something that she's carried her entire life. So if we can just stop the bullying out there, the cyber, the online, the face-to-face, even sibling rivalry, all of that, if we can really just stop that,